rights to more than 200,000.
And you've got to protect the progress we've made.
They'll call it vetoed a bill that would have restricted funding for Planned Parenthood.
Now, more than ever, we need leaders like Terry McCullough after the accident.
It is now 12 o'clock and time for us to begin our midday devotional. I am glad that you joined me. I am actually multitasking today. And if it seems as if I am doing two different things, then you are 100% right. We're going to conclude our series for the week that we focused on family matters. And today we will focus on traits within a family. Every family has traits. And today we will talk about the two different types of traits that every family possesses, whether it's my family or any other family. They're just certain attributes within the family system. Family traits, keep in mind, can be non-genetic type. And that's really what I'm addressing this morning, are those non-genetic traits. Now, according to the National Library of Medicine, in a January 2015 article, the following was noted. Although inheritance is more frequently seen as the Mendelian transfer of data from parents to children, basically that means just the DNA transfer in sequence. Traits are also transmitted across generations by parental experiences and exposures to things within the environment. Now, the non-genetic transmission is not restricted to first generational, but can involve grandchildren and beyond. For the most part, non-genetic traits are more simplistically studied through behavioral abnormalities pertinent to the psychosocial and the psychiatric development of certain disorders. So we're not talking about the DNA, and I'll talk about those in just a minute. There's an article about family and about family values by Michelle Mealy that pointed up the following three things. Learned traits are also called acquired traits. These traits are not things you are born with, but things you develop during your life. Acquired or learned traits include things you have learned to do or things that have happened to you. Experts disagree on whether these things are passed through family. So, it's not a clear-cut yes or no. Behavioral traits or characteristics are passed through families due to children modeling the behaviors of the adults as they see the adults as being important in their lives. You'll see children out playing different things, playing church, being doctors, being lawyers. What they're doing is modeling what they've seen, and they see this as I'm mimicking or modeling people who I see as important to me. Family traits are like little gifts passed on to family members, many times without even meaning to share them. Most family members are just going about their business. They don't mean to share these things. They happen almost automatically. And in some cases, these family traits are desirable, but in others, they're not. Take a look at your parents, your siblings, your aunts, your uncles, your cousins, your grandparents, your great grandparents, to see which traits are strongest in your family right now. And if you were to have a conversation with any of your extended family, they will tell you, I wasn't deliberately trying to pass that on, but it happens. Let's talk about some of the inherited traits, uh, the common genetic traits. A list of common physical family trait examples or inherited trait examples can help you understand which traits are genetic. For instance, your earlobe attachment. That's not something you learn. Eye color. That's something that you inherit. Freckles, hairline shape, hair texture, male pattern baldness. Those are inherited traits. Whether you're right-handed or left-hand preference, tongue rolling, all of those are inherited DNA type traits. Now, there are some unique physical family traits. Some physical traits that are passed through families are relatively rare in the general population, but they are still traits that can be passed on. For instance, the cleft chin, the dimples, fraternal twins, that hitchhiker's thumb, to where when you hold your thumb up, it basically bends backwards. All of those are traits, but they are traits that you don't learn. You don't practice to get better at them. These are just the DNA type traits, and that's why I put this little symbol in, just to show you how those are passed through. Now, also keep in mind that there are specific traits that we look for in a healthy family, uh, that are not passed on through the bloodline, but they are passed on through behavior, through modeling. Uh, and the American Addiction Center, uh, their division of mental health for families, pointed up four major ones that every family, when we look at family patterns, uh, every family would be better off if they would take the time to pass on these traits that are not passed on through the DNA bloodline. Being attuned to the needs of others. See, uh, you don't get that just through inheritance per se. You get that by modeling the present generation being attuned to the needs of others, so that others can see it and they model it. Secondly, being willing to repair damaged relationships. If at all possible, and I know that I've done some damage to other people, it may not be safe, it may not be wise to go back to those people. But we can communicate to the present generation, look, these are some mistakes I made, and these were some serious mistakes I made. And if I had to do it all over again, if I could fix it, this is what I would do. That's what we're talking about in terms of some traits within families. A third one is being able to encourage the emotional needs of each other. Uh, Somewhat being able to show empathy, to show concern, uh, instead of well, just get over it. Because if we model, just get over it, move on, life happens. Well, we are actually showing the children of the future generation, the next generation, we're passing on those traits. We're passing on that type behavioral DNA. Uh, Here's a fourth one, being willing to build each other up. You say, well, that's common. Not really. There are certain families and certain family systems that just can't encourage each other. They can't build each other up. Everything is a beat down. Everything is a criticism. Everything is, see, I knew you would mess up. I knew you would fail. Rather than, I know this probably wasn't your best day, but this is what I believe. Tomorrow is another opportunity. And I believe if you're kind of like me, I've fallen on my face many times, but I was encouraged by my family to get up and try it again. Build each other up. Uh, you don't pass that through your blood DNA. We pass that through our behavioral DNA. And those are traits that I believe every family should really strive to have. Look at the DNA traits biblically. In 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 1, 2, and 3, Paul writes to Christians who basically had come out of some uh, undesirable modeling environments, some ungodly behavioral environments. And yet, when he writes to them, watch his approach. Do we begin again to commend ourselves, or do we need, as some other epistles of commendations to you or letters of commendations from you? He says, you are our epistle written in our hearts, known and read by all men. Now, keep in mind, Paul is a Jew, but he's writing to Gentiles. So he can't be talking about a genetic bloodline, but he is saying it's through our modeling, it's through our behavior, it's through our being open and honest, it's through our being empathetic toward you. You are our epistles written in our hearts, known and read by all men. Clearly, you are an epistle of Christ. Well, wait a minute. How did the Gentiles learn to be the epistle of Christ? Through the modeling of Paul, through the modeling of Silas, through the modeling of those who had made a conscious decision, not because of a bloodline per se, but because they shared a common relationship behaviorally with Jesus Christ. It's administered by us. We are taking the lead on this modeling, written not with ink, but by the Spirit of the living God. See, behavioral traits and family traits, they must come from the heart. There are certain things, cleft lip, earlobes, the hitchhiker's thumb, freckles, dimples, all of that. We can boast about, man, they got that from so-and-so. But even greater behavioral traits, we should be able to say, I learned that from this person. I learned that from this person. I wasn't consciously doing it, but I saw them and I modeled that. Not on tablets of stone, but on the tablets of the flesh, that is, of our heart. See, there are certain things you cannot hardwire into a person. It's impossible. The person must want to have those things assimilated into their behavior to motivate them to change, motivate them to do better. That's nonetheless true in ministry or any other relationships, family, is an individual must make a conscious determination that these are the family traits. These are the family behavioral patterns that I choose to embrace. It's in the heart. And once the heart makes that determination, then it becomes highly possible and highly probable that the individual can change how they walk, how they talk, and how they behave. I hope this series has been a blessing this week as we've looked at family systems and how we are all impacted by those families. Every family has a pattern, and those patterns will be with us until we breathe our last breath. And our task is, since we're in family systems, for us to embrace those traits that are healthy, but for us to work on disband and discarding those family patterns that are detrimental to each of us. I'm going to stop the screen share at this time. And for those of you who are on the Zoom, if there are comments that you'd like to make, the Zoom is open. For those on Facebook and the YouTube, I don't see any feedback in the comments, but I do want to let you know that we appreciate everybody joining together in the live devotional each day. I'll stop at this time.
How is Audria?
Audrey is doing better. Prayerfully, she'll be dismissed today.
Good.
The surgery went well. They were a little bit concerned about her temperature elevating. And they would not even contemplate releasing her until the temperature was back to normal. Byron came by last night to pick up the kids, and the temperature was down to a 98.6, I believe.
Okay.
So it'll look as if she'll be coming home today.
God answers prayers.
Yes, Lord. Please give my love to Byron and his wife.
I will be sure to.
Please. Yes.
I will be sure to.
From both of us.
Thank y'all so much for your prayers.
Thank
And
you.
enjoy the rest of the evening.
All right. Bye-bye.